One morning in Saint-Sauveur, after hearing what sounded like fire and brimstone, an explosion rocked Stéphane Clévaux as he pumped gas at the nearby station. He ran out to see what's going on, and he saw it all. The car was in flame, and there was a man in it. Stéphane knew he had to help. So he remembered his health and safety training, and he dashed to help the man. He opened the door, and he saw the meat off his legs were unrooted as they peeled off like slices of roast beef. His face was no longer even there, but he was conscious and screaming like hell. So Stéphane used the belt to garrote the man's legs as the flames roared right in front of him. He tried to remove the man after that, but had he tried to pull this guy, he'd melt right into his torso. Cause the moment he touched the dying man, he wasn't even solid. He had turned into a human larva. Stéphane was mortified. His brain didn't even register. His garrote had melted his leg to bloody curry. The man who was killed was none other than Sylvain Pelletier. The Pelletier clan controlled drug trafficking in Hochelaga-Maisonneuve and Tétroville. Years later, Harold Pelletier confessed to the parole board that he was earning $20,000 a week for the gang at its height. He also admitted, according to news reports, to participating in 21 killings, 17 of which were his alone, and planning a bomb under the vehicle of prosecutor Jacques Potier, who was trying to prosecute the Pelletier clan for the crimes in the South Shore, or the Rive Sud. On October 28, 1994, Sylvain Pelletier left his apartment on Notre-Dame Street in Repentigny and entered his Jeep Cherokee. Within seconds, a bomb planted under his vehicle blew up. And in this fashion, the godfather of the Pelletier clan died and was replaced by his brother, the hitman Harold Pelletier. Harold had earlier begun in the Hells Angels, actually, with his brother, and the family had long controlled the East End. But with Sylvain's death, Harold runs to the Rock Machine for help and promises the reward of a lifetime, the turf in the East. And an agreement is settled. Rock Machine became an immediate eyesore for Mom Boucher. No way in heck would anyone control his own neighborhood. He wasn't going to be second to anyone in there. Historically, it was the old Hells Angels administration that helped him, Harold that is, and Sylvain, to gain monopoly of drug sales in the East End. But it was the beginning of the end for Harold Pelletier. Harold was not his brother, Sylvain. Sylvain was carrying the organization. He was the mastermind, but Harold was his most trusted henchman. Like Boucher, he would lose his mind a few years later and plant a bomb under the Crown prosecutor Jacques Potier, who was pursuing his family for their crimes in the South Shore. Founded in 1993 by the Rock Machine, independent traffickers, and 18 Devil's Disciples, who are the following: Jean-Jacques Fritzroy, Jean-René Roy, André Bureau, Gilles Lalonde, Marcel Pépère Gauthier, Salvatore Brunetti, and Normand Brisebois. These last ones controlled bars all over Hochelaga in the East End, before Boucher and his rockers intervened. And they adopt the name Dark Circle, and they would together vote who would live or die on the Hells Angels side. They decided they would go to war, explained an ex-Devil's Disciple and member of the Alliance, Marcel Gauthier. He said, "We merged several groups from the Dark Circle, the Pelletier clan, the Rock Machine, and the Palmer's MC, and the Devil's Disciples. And the goal was to become stronger than ever in order to hit the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels didn't anticipate they would get into such a prolonged war. They underestimated the firepower of the Rock Machine. But more importantly, they didn't realize that traditional crime families were supporting the Rock Machine. So the Hells Angels thought, we never lost a war, and we can accept a draw. And a truce with the Rock Machine would tarnish the reputation and jeopardize plans to expand into Ontario. And so the fighting would continue until the very end, until the Hells Angels win. And so in the following months, tit-for-tat shootings would occur. On November 4th, Rock Machine member Daniel Bertrand was shot to death. And on December 16th, the most important of them all, Rock Machine almost killed Boucher as he frequented the restaurant. His favorite. The car was parked, ready to ambush him. However, as would often occur in the biker war, the plot would fail, get jammed, or blow up before time, killing the perpetrator. On the surface, the Rock Machine seemed like it ran only small-time operations, like tattoo parlors and bars, as well as motorcycle repair shops. But on the surface, most members didn't even own a motorcycle. They were clearly businessmen, more interested in the more lucrative side, where they dealt drugs in smoking areas, which they obtained from local crime families and wholesale representatives from South American cartels. The Cazetta brothers were in fact drug middlemen and mercenaries for more traditional crime families. It is rumored that they had an uncle who was a made man in the Montreal Mafia. But behind a facade of money and power and influence, the Rock Machine would not last forever against a much bigger machine had it not received support. In fact, the more secretive members of the Alliance, or shall I say silent partners of the Alliance, were funding the Rock Machine's war chest in order to protect their turf and in order to stay alive. And the only way was to eliminate every single Hell's Angels possible. The gang now known as the Hells Angels Trois-Rivières chapter was formed in the late 1960s or early 1970s. They were known as the Missiles. The group caused chaos throughout Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. To introduce, Aymon was a full-patch Hells Angels and is called the Filthy Few, an honor reserved for those who have killed for the club. And on the streets, Aymon was known as an assassin, a very successful one. And he was also the chief strategist for the Hells Angels Trois-Rivières chapter. In fact, he had 6 skulls painted on his gas tank, 1 for each dirty. At the time, they competed against 3 other biker gangs for drug turf. The Lac Mas, the El Concacheros, and the Hondics. The Missiles were considered by our authorities to be the most violent and dangerous of the other bikers. So violent were they, Saint-Gédéon Mayor Jean-Philippe Coulon stated that citizens of his small town were mortified and were in constant fear of the Missiles clubhouse. And so after numerous arrests, the Missiles changed their name to the Satan's Guards and moved to Chicoutimi. They later moved to Trois-Rivières also on June 14, 1991, where they became an official Hells Angels chapter. And most of their income? Drug trafficking, prostitution, through puppet gangs. And the club has a firm hold over all of Trois-Rivières and surrounding areas. The masterminds, Louis Melouroy, was head of the Missiles. He was only seconded by Richard the Crow Aymon, who would later become a redoubtable lieutenant at the helm of the Trois-Rivières chapter. And quickly, they take control over Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. It was January 4th, 1995, and students from all across the world come to take a break from their studies in Acapulco. Well, what if I told you it was possible to take a vacation in the middle of a war? That's exactly what happened in the middle of a biker war. Michael Hintz, a prospect, was still proving himself to the club. God knows how tired he must have been to need a vacation, along with Melou, Daniel, Johnny Royer, and their families. Hintz had been vacationing in Mexico, and they had left the ice-cold freezing Canada for a beautiful, shiny coastal city. It was beautiful. Then, suddenly the phone rings. Melou answers a very important call. Welcome home.
François Legault signaled to reporters on Wednesday that the government is willing to go as far as it takes to, quote, protect the French language, down to controlling the language that people speak at home. Bill 96 contains a clause that will require newcomers to learn French within 6 months of their arrival. Once time is up, they will no longer be able to access most public services in any other language.
What I'm trying to do is to make sure that we keep French as the common language in Quebec. And to do so, the indicators we have is the language speaking at home, the language speaking when you work, and I would like also to add new indicators about the language speaking in the public place.
This comment by Legault causing outrage on social media. One saying you're treading on a whole new level of infringement with Bill 96, François Legault, when suggesting that you want to see all Quebecers speak French at home also, due to, quote, indicators that you are seeing. Are we not in a free democracy? It appears not. Another, as a French speaker, I'm very sorry and angry that Bill 96 got passed here in Quebec. It is discriminatory and wrong. You don't preserve a language by forcing people to speak it. Let people speak what they want and accept difference.
Ici, on est en train de gonfler quelque chose.
Ok.
Monsieur,
présentement, vous êtes dans un véhicule.
Ok.
Qu'est-ce
Là
que
maintenant,
vous filmez, monsieur?
je te filme toi qui m'interviens, puis je me sens pas en sécurité. Fait que je me protège. Parce que tu me demandes des questions pour rien. Tu fais 3 fois le tour ici pour savoir qu'est-ce que je fais. Hey, tu travailles 3 fois ici, tu trouves 3 fois ici pour savoir qu'est-ce que je fais dans la rue.
Effectivement.
Qu'est-ce que je fais ici.
La
J'ai le
plaque
droit
vient pas
d'être ici.
d'ici.
J'ai le droit.
Le véhicule ne vient pas d'ici.
Pas grave, le véhicule a le droit d'être ici pareil.
Je fais ma job en ce moment.
Non, c'est pas ta job.
Je fais des
On
questions.
a le droit d'être
Je
ici.
pose des questions.
On a le droit d'être ici. Puis moi, j'ai le droit de ne pas répondre à ces questions-là.
Vous n'avez pas le droit d'être ici, monsieur.
Mais pourquoi tu me fais
C'est
ça?
aucunement ça.
Pourquoi tu m'emmerdes?
J'emmerde pas, monsieur.
Pourquoi tu me
Je fais ma job de police, puis je vous pose des questions.
La job de police, c'est quoi en ce moment?
Ma job de police, en ce moment, présentement, vous êtes en garde des contrôles d'un véhicule. Théoriquement, je peux vous identifier.
Est-ce que je conduis le véhicule?
Vous n'avez pas besoin de le conduire.
Conduis pas un véhicule.
Je suis au volant? Je suis au volant du véhicule? Est-ce que j'étais au volant du
Vous êtes à
véhicule?
l'intérieur du véhicule, vous êtes en garde des contrôles.
Je suis du côté passager. Il y a une machine ici qui gonfle mes ballons gonflables. OK? Côté passager.
Monsieur, là,
Côté passager. Touche-moi
comprends,
pas.
je
Touche-moi
comprends
pas.
que tu veux faire une vidéo, je m'en
Touche-moi
fous.
pas.
Je m'en
Touche-moi
fous, vous
pas.
voulez faire une vidéo.
Touche-moi
Présentement,
pas.
je vous le
Touche-moi
dis.
pas. Puis touche pas mon téléphone.
Je vous donne. Hey,
Touche-moi pas.
monsieur,
Touche-moi
je
pas.
vous donne.
Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi pas.
Vous identifier.
Touche-moi pas.
Vous
Touche-moi
devez
pas.
vous identifier.
Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi
Identifiez-vous,
pas.
monsieur.
Touche-moi pas.
Monsieur, je vous le dis, identifiez-vous.
Regarde, on va s'en aller en dedans, on peut y aller.
Non,
Ça va m'emmener en dedans. Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi pas. Touche-moi pas. Ah, ça va aller. Ça va s'en aller en cours. Ça va s'en aller en cours.
Mais ça va aller en cours. Arrête de
Je vous le dis, ça va s'en aller en cours.
J'ai juste besoin
Ça va
de
s'en aller en
ta
cours.
pièce d'identité.
Hey,
J'ai
je vais mettre mon
besoin de
soulier.
ta pièce
Je vais mettre mon
d'identité.
soulier. T'as besoin de ça pourquoi? C'est quoi la raison pour?
Parce que tu es dans un véhicule moteur
Parce que
en
je suis
ce
dans un véhicule
moment.
moteur, t'as
Tu as la garde
c'est
des
pas une
contrôles
raison,
d'un
c'est pas une
véhicule
raison.
moteur. J'ai
C'est pas une
besoin
raison.
d'une pièce
C'est pas une raison.
Vous identifier,
Non,
OK?
non.
Parce qu'on va vous arrêter pour
Non.
entrave.
Arrête-moi d'abord.
Ben, donne-moi tes
Arrête-moi.
bras.
C'est mon téléphone, parfait. Je continue de filmer.
Donne-moi tes bras.
Je te donne mes bras, je te donne mes bras.
Monsieur,
Je te donne.
là,
Non,
on s'est dit
arrête-moi,
pourquoi
arrête-moi.
Vous êtes dans l'obligation de vous identifier.
Pourquoi?
Vous comprenez?
Pour quelle raison?
Parce que vous êtes en garde des contrôles d'un véhicule. On vous demande l'identification.
Pour quelle raison?
Ok.
Pour quelle raison? C'est quoi la loi? C'est quoi? C'est quelle loi? C'est quelle loi?
Je vous le répète depuis le
C'est
début.
quelle loi? C'est quelle loi? Le code de la
Il
y a pas-
Je suis pas en train de rouler, je suis pas en train de conduire. La voiture, je suis assis côté passager en train de gonfler des ballons
Vous
gonflables.
identifiez.
Non, ok, arrête-moi.
identifiez.
Arrête-moi, amène-moi au poste. Qu'est-ce que tu veux? Ça va
Vous
s'en aller
avez
en
un
cours.
poste, monsieur.
Ça va s'en aller en
Mais
cours.
c'est ça, ça fait. Ça fait aucun sens, les gars. Ben, je vous appelle les gars, madame, mais ça fait pas de sens. On peut pas être à côté.
On vous dit depuis le début.
On peut pas être à côté. On golfe des ballons.
Elle fouille mes poches, elle.
On golfe des ballons. Là, tu commences à nous poser des questions parce qu'on est là. Parce que le ballon est. Non, 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 c'est pas correct. Non, c'est pas correct. Non. Non.
Ça va s'en aller en cours, je t'ai écœuré. Je t'ai écœuré. J'ai 34. Ça là, c'est
Monsieur,
le
depuis le
34e vidéo. C'est le 34e vidéo que je filme ici. Allez, continue. Vous allez voir c'est quoi.
Là, monsieur, on va vous identifier.